Hey everybody, it's Mom Castro. 17.2 is not one dumbbell, but two. 17.2 is way too confusing to give to anybody verbally, especially with my very long pauses. So I'm going to include a link to the standards and you can go check it for yourself. What I'm going to do right now is go through the various movements and variations that you can do and modifications to make this easier for pregnant and postpartum women. So first of all, let's talk about those lunges. So for the lunges, you saw all those ladies maybe in the announcement stepping all the way through with their lunges like so. One simple way to make this a little bit easier is to not step all the way through. So just meet that foot and then go through. So that's one way that you can modify this to make it a little easier. If you're still having trouble with those lunges, one indicator that you probably shouldn't be doing those lunges if your hips are caving side to side or you're losing balance and having to catch yourself. If you're doing that, your hips probably need a little bit more time to stabilize. So one of the things that you can do to make sure you're working on hip stabilization and not going out of a comfort zone is to just stay in place and do alternating lunges so that you can make sure that your hips are staying square forward. So just do alternating lunges, and you should do about 20 to replace the walking lunge. 20 is about what a shorter-ish woman would get doing the walking lunges. So just do 20 alternating lunges in place. If that's still too much, like you're leaking or your hips are caving and doing some weird things and you're losing your balance, lose the weight and do it without weight and try those movements without weight. So those are modifications for the lunges. Let's talk about toes to bar. Now, if you're postpartum and experiencing diastasis recti, the indicator that you can do the knee raises or the toes to bar is if your transverse abdominis stays engaged and if your linea alba isn't bulging. So let me just show you what it looks like to have your linea alba bulge. So I did not do knee raises or toes to bar because there's too much of a bulge for me. So I'll just show you what that looks like. And I'm only doing this for demo purposes. So when I do knee raises, you can see at the midline, I'm bulging way too much. So I did not do knee raises. So if you can keep your transverse abdominis engaged and you're not bulging through the midline, mamas, you will be able to, mamas who are pregnant, you'll be able to see a doming, okay, while you're pregnant. If that's happening, don't do knee raises or toes to bar. Instead, what I did was mountain climbers, because that puts you in a plank position so you get the abdominal work. And then as you're bringing your legs up, you get some of that hip flexor movement that the toes to bar people get. So what I did was right, left equals 1. So 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 16. So that's one modification. If you are pregnant and you have a big old belly and that's really uncomfortable and that doesn't work for you, what you can do is get a band like this and not put a loop on one end of the band. Put the loop around your foot like so and go to the opposite hand. And what you can do is bird dogs and do 8 on each side. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, all the way to 8. I'll switch feet and go the opposite direction, 8 on the other side. So that shouldn't take too long to switch during the workout, so you can do bird dogs if you're really uncomfortable because of your belly being in the way. So that's toes to bar. For pull-ups, same criteria for safeness as toes to bar. If you can't keep your transverse abdominis engaged and you're bulging at the midline, shouldn't probably be doing pull-ups or any variations of pull-ups. If you can, go ahead and do pull-ups or any scaling versions of pull-ups that there are. Instead of doing that, I actually did ring rows, so that's one option. So ring rows I really like because you can make them harder or easier. So if I start right here, that's pretty hard. If this is too tough for me, then I can just walk it back to an easier angle and do ring rows. I made it pretty spicy by doing feet elevated ring rows. So I wanted a little extra challenge. So I just elevated my feet and I did ring rows like this. One thing that you want to keep in mind when you're doing ring rows is this is not a time to do any kipping type of motion. So when you're doing ring rows, keep your body straight, okay? None of this and none of this in order to get up, okay? None of this motion, that's not good for your linea alba, and that's not the purpose of the workout. The purpose of the workout is to stay in a straight line. So if you can find a bar in a park that's pretty low, like in a little play area, you can do Australian pull-ups, which is basically ring rows from a very low bar. Or you can, if you have a rig at home, you can set a bar on the J hooks really low and lean back into the rib or into the rig and do Australian pull-ups. Okay, last thing, power clean. In order to scale this weight, you can just, or scale this back, you can just reduce the weight. So that's one way to scale it. Another way to scale this is to reduce the range of motion. So if you watch the announcement, those ladies were bending down pretty far and they were saying how spicy this was going to get for your back. So one of the things that you can do, I'm using pads, but what you can do is set up pads or plates or boxes or boards or whatever right next to you. This isn't very high, but what you can do is reduce the range of motion so that you're not bending over so far, especially if you're super pregnant and you have a huge belly in front of you. This position is not very comfortable, especially if you're like, what do I do with my legs? Because they usually have to go out to the side to accommodate the belly. So what you can do is just build up some little towers right here so that you can just power clean without bending all the way over. So reduce the range of motion by stacking up some plates or something built alongside of you in order to reduce that range of motion so you're not squishing baby. Or if you watch the announcement, basically what this turned into for folks is a swing. So those women were just swinging those dumbbells up. So one of the things that you can do is just switch to a kettlebell swing. If that's really uncomfortable bending over that far, just switch to a kettlebell swing. So you can do Russian kettlebell swings or overhead, whatever comfortable and keeps your abdomen from bulging. You can also, another way to do a kettlebell swing is to do a single arm kettlebell swing and then catch it in midair. If you're going to do single arm, I highly suggest you go down in weight so that you're comfortable. So those are some modifications for 17.2. I hope that moms, you're still able to participate in this year's Open, and I hope this helps you do that.